Hi, it is an absolute pleasure to be here with my friend Howard Jordan. We are discussing on August 31st the jam session, Howard Jordan Classic. But first, I'd like to talk about what part of the Friendly Village is in Mamaroneck, which is its history, which you certainly represent. You are a businessman, you're an author.
Yes, sir.
You are a phenomenal coach. And you might even say that you were at one time part of the NFL with the Baltimore team, and you bring all this expertise. And before we even get to the basketball tournament, I think it's important to let everyone know what your history is and the expertise you're bringing. Because I remember clearly that one time we went and you had a program at the Homics. There must have been 1,000 kids in that program. Would you talk about that? Because that's some of the background that we're going to bring to this jamboree here.
Yeah, I had a wonderful athletic life as a kid growing up in Mamaroneck, and I wouldn't turn that in for anything. But as a coach, I really love that more than anything else, because I like to tell parents and friends that I mentor first and I coach second. I'm always out there for kids. I'm a big advocate for children. And it doesn't matter if you're playing football, basketball, baseball, or tiddlywinks. You know, I just want to see everybody to learn how to get along with each other and learn how to compete, because in life, it's what we do. We compete. When I had had an opportunity to start the basketball clinics that you were part of, and you came over, and it was wonderful having you there with Matt Jacobs. It's great. I got a chance to see about 1,000 kids in a day. They'd come in from starting at 6, first grade, second grade, third grade, and we'd get about 100 kids in per session, and we'd go from 9 o'clock in the morning to about 5, 6 o'clock at night. And we'd have volunteer coaches down there, and we have the lower baskets on, and we just had a great time.
And there's a part of it that some people don't appreciate, or they just don't have the exposure to it to do it. But say, why are you doing it? Why do you want to politics? Why are you being a coach and everything else? The reality is, I get more out of it as you get more out of it and everything else, because you impart upon these kids really true life lessons. Like I'm currently still involved with the NASCAR team with my brother, FDNY Racing. I was involved in the America's Cup. And what you're imparting on these kids is life's lessons of teamwork, how to get along, and it certainly gives them the strength to stand up to the bully mentality, which is a problem, and so on. And that's what you're offering on this. I mean, even to the extent where you can get involved in a program like we did several years ago with the last tournament you did, and we saw guys from high school, you know, and several years after that, hey, how are you? How's everything? How you doing? So, you know, it's part of that life's lessons that you're imparting on these kids.
Yeah, one of the things that with my own children, who my twins are going to be 32 next month, and my youngest is 28.
You are getting old, huh?
I am getting old, without a doubt. And I always told them that, you know, it didn't matter what sport it was or what instrument it was. I said, you either have to be involved in athletics or you had to be involved in music. And I always imparted that on them, because of the fact that when you're an athlete or you're a musician, you learn how to work with everybody. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how small you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It just means that everybody's trying to achieve the same goal. And, you know, and that's what I try and impart on not just my own children growing up, but the kids that I service throughout the years.
Yeah, that's part of the essence of what I think, quote, the Friendly Village is. It's its diversity on all levels, diversity of different types of people, economic, socio, and so on. And basketball is certainly a part of it, where it's more people can get involved, whether it be the program you had in the Homics or in the program that you're doing now. I think it's great. Why don't you talk about, actually, before we even get to that, because you were so involved in, when we came down, you had that crazy long, oblong football thing we had.
My goodness.
What was that game?
That was the Tri-Federation football. It was 3 teams playing at one time in a circle field with 3 different goals with a oblong football, and 3 teams were competing against each other. And it was a great sport. You know, it was unfortunate that we didn't get the funding that we wanted, but that was a great sport.
But another aspect of that was it brought people to the village of Mamaroneck, and they
Yes.
love this village when they see it, Harbor Island, Columbus Park, and so on. How did you come up with this idea for the jam basketball?
Oh, jam basketball. My kids were, oh boy, they were 8, 9 years old. And, you know, AAU had started to become very popular at the time. And when I went to take them around to a couple of AAU tryouts, the money that was there that they were asking for, like at that time, 20 some odd years ago, like $800, $900, $1,000 for a kid to participate to play basketball. And I was like, wait a minute. We used to go down to Columbus Park and play this game for free.
Yeah, I played that, and we played that a long time ago.
Yeah, you
when
know,
we could
so I
run.
was like, this is crazy. So they said, hey, Dad, you know, can we put together a team? I said, of course we can. So I started JAM, and JAM, that's spelled with 2 M's, is for our last name, Jordan, my daughter, Alicia, her twin brother, Michael, and my youngest son, Matthew, Jamm. That's
Cool.
how it got started.
Yeah, that was good. As a matter of fact, sort of recognition, you know, everything is sort of catch-22 and it gets involved. But, you know, I was always of the, as a history minor, poli-sci major, history is very important, you know.
Very much so.
And that last tournament that we had several years ago was also to honor Wayne Carrington, who
Yes.
goes back even 30 years, 40 years, even longer than that we're
Longer,
talking about,
yeah.
right? And we put up the plaque and down there, and it's to remember what's going on. But it also hits on exactly what you talked about. When the kids go down, you can go down there any night to
Right.
Columbus Park. It's in conjunction with the Village of Mamaroneck's amazing recreation department and parks department. And I know you discussed this with Jason and Barry from the parks department and the rec department and so on. And this is going to be a forerunner, although of course we're talking about the 31st, for a program next year.
Yes. What happened was is that I had some people that are actually from the Bronx that came up who wanted to be involved in some things that I've been doing up with JAM. And I introduced them to Columbus Park. And then I said, wait a minute, let me make a telephone call. And I called a very long time. I call him a friend, but he's more like family than anything else. And that's Barry Castorella. And Barry brought over Jason Pinto. And they were like, hey, Cal, you know, we've been wanting you to do this now for the last 5, 6 years. So let's make this happen.
Great.
So, you know, they were right on board with it. So I can't be unhappy, you know, and it's going to be a throwback. We're going to do this just the way we did when we were young playing in the league, Norman, with the Twilight Basketball League that was run by, you know, Al Croce
Right.
and The Voice,
Ali
David
Croce,
Vaughn,
right.
you know. So, yeah, that's what this is all about.
Unfortunately, we tried to get David here, but he couldn't make it. But
No, yes.
The Voice, that's
yes,
a very
the
good
voice. He's the voice. You know, whenever I run into anybody now, everybody says to me, the guy that was on the mic, you know, how's he doing? I said, David Vaughn. He goes, yeah, he's doing well, you know. And Dave and I were together at a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and I just ran into him, you know, the other day, and we talked about, you know, this and, you know, on the 31st and what's going to be done. So, yeah, it's an exciting time. So on August 31st, we're going to have a kickoff for what's going to take place for 2020. So again, it's a very exciting time. You know, we want everybody down there. I've looked at actually a couple of buildings that are diagonally across the street that, you know, through the Fair Game Foundation, which is a not-for-profit foundation that I have, that we want to try and get some buildings and actually build an indoor facility that, you know, can be in conjunction with everything that the Village of Mamaroneck is doing and the Parks and Rec Department, and have indoor-outdoor thing going on in our community, because it's important, you know, to be able to also have after-school programs
Right.
for kids, you know, that sometimes just can't afford to have tutors and different things like that. So this is an exciting time.
Well, you hit on a very good point. With the, I had set up one time the Mayor's Drug Culture Committee, and it really has to do with, you know, the change in society from when we were kids and everything else, the pressure of drugs and so on. You're actually offering a program that allows kids to go do something. They don't get bored, and you know, it's sort of very important. And it's also a broad spectrum of kids that are getting involved in this. Why don't you the different groups that are going to be in this tournament?
Right.
And how they can get involved.
You can call the rec department, or you can call myself at 914-450-4920, and it's going to be listed on the program. So, yeah, I want to continue this. I don't want to have to shut down during the winter.
Right.
I want to be able to have winter programs. I want to be able to, offer free SAT and ACT prep courses for our high school kids.
Which is what?
The ACT is the, what you need to get into colleges.
Okay.
And the
Good.
SATs, and, sometimes
the
I think
SAT,
that we fail our kids
Right.
in that regard, because not everyone can afford. So we got to start to figure out ways that, we can better educate our kids, being in one of the wealthiest counties in the country,
And highest taxed.
and yes, sir. And, so we're failing our children, I think, sometimes
Right.
in the educational piece, and we have to get better
What's
at that.
our legacy? What are you going to leave our, I don't know how long you're going to be around, but it's what your
Right.
legacy, what you're leaving your children and your grandchildren. That's the most important part.
Right. I always tell people that, people used to say, hey, you're our tomorrow. Tomorrow has been here for me.
Right.
And I want to look back and be able to look at our kids in the face and say, you're our tomorrow. What are you going to do?
And what are the different age groups? We looked on it, was it 12 and under? And
Yes, we have 12 and under, we have 13 and under, and we have high school. We do have 15U, but we just couldn't play 4 games.
Right.
But we do also have 15U that we run through our JAM program. So, yeah.
And if a kid's not a great basketball player, he's not a star, does that matter? Anyone can play? What's the level?
Well,
how do you qualify?
It kind of matters a little bit.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that I don't look for the stars.
Right.
I look for the kids that sometimes, unfortunately, other people don't want. Because those are the kids that come to me and they work harder than anybody else I've ever had. And the stars come with this attitude sometimes that, hey, it's me, it's all about me. No, it's all about team.
Teamwork, as we talked about before.
It's all
a
about
very
team.
important concept, teamwork.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that morphs into, as you grow over, how do you interact in your community?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about. This is a program that is symbolic of what I think the Friendly Village is. It's people getting along and working together and so on. I mean, we're unfortunately living in a country that is so divided.
Right.
You got the far right and the far left. I am thoroughly convinced that the vast majority of people are people of goodwill and they get along.
Right.
And what you're doing is offering programs to offer exactly that. It's not something that requires a lot of money. You don't have to be any kind of social strata, anything else. You want to get involved? Come to the Friendly Village and go play basketball with Howard Jordan.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not trying to strap anybody out. The village is not trying to strap anybody out.
Right.
We want kids to have an opportunity to be able to play, and be recreated. In today's society, in order to be recreated, you have to pay for it. And it's kind of crazy. We're going to have entry fees, of course, but we're looking for local merchants to get involved, to be able to sponsor a team.
I need sponsors.
Yeah.
That helps.
Sponsors helps a great deal.
Because whether it be the basketball or softball or anything league, there's generally a lot of the local businesses will sponsor some of the teams.
Yes, sir.
Which should be good. It's mutually beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
People they'll go into that particular store or restaurant or something after, which is good. But it's even more important than that because it also expands the programs that are available through the Village Recreation Department. I mean, it's a phenomenal department,
Mm-hmm.
and they go down. These guys do an amazing job, the men and women in both the Parks Department and the Recreation Department.
Yes.
It's the Friendly Village. People come down and they say, unfortunately, we had gone to a wake for one of the firemen who lived in Rye, was a victim from 9/11 and the aftermath. But the comment was interesting is that, God, what a beautiful place this is.
Yes.
I walk by and they see Harbor Island, was the jewel. And then, the other parks and so on. Excuse me, which is great. But how would someone, say a restaurant or business, get involved? Again, to contact you, and what are the opportunities?
Again, they can contact myself, they can contact Jason Pinto, Barry Castorella, and they can get involved, definitely. And everyone that's out there, please get involved. This is important. It's not about me, it's not about Norman, it's about our kids. So please
Correct.
Get involved.
And in transition to that is also, aside from the 3 to 5, or is it 2 to 5?
2 to 5.
2 to 5, and the basketball games. Right after that, you enjoy yourself and relax, and you go over to Madison Avenue for the 14th annual, and it should be up on the screen, Luau Party.
Luau Party.
You know, which of course Levette, you know, is sort of running the whole thing. And
she's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, she's been doing this now for 14 years.
Yeah.
You know, and she always makes sure that, you know, she has enough educational supplies, you know, book bags, pencils, binders, that she hands out to all the kids that come down there. You know, she does a wonderful job with supplying a $1,000 scholarship.
Oh, really?
That she hands out to each kid, you know, to actually, for the last couple of years, it's been with one of our kids from JAM. You know, we've had Manny Rawlings in the past, Zion Powell in the past, that are at Monroe College and Iona College, and they're doing very well academically. So, you know, big kudos to her with what she does and how long she's been doing it as well.
And does Levette look for volunteers in there too? Because I remember I go there all the time,
Yes.
and I say people, they handmade little crafts and they stuff
Yes,
like that.
yes,
And talk
with
about
Kim Jones.
that food is great, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I watch my diet, but it's good.
Everyone, please come down. She cooks along with other family members that she has, and the food is phenomenal.
It is. It's great. It's unbelievable. I want to get back to the tournament. How do people sort of get involved? Again, you know, not so much with the team, but the coaches, and what are you going to do in that, and how they can help you and do this thing.
Well,
actually do it through with you and with the rec department.
And with the rec department, yes.
Yes.
The rec department, again, has stepped up big, you know, and they're going to be, you know, sponsoring, you know, everything when it comes to making sure that the bookkeepers are there and the score clocks and everything else. So, you know, again, you can reach out to Jason Pinto, you know, down at the village department, and you know, he and I are always talking, and well, along with Barry Castorella, you know, and yeah, you can reach out to him.
Well, while I have
get
you
it to
here,
me.
because we talked about before, why don't you talk about your book, which is great, because I
Oh,
think it's a lot of it's based on your experiences and exactly what you're doing with this
Yes.
basketball tournament.
My book is called My Matt and Me. You know, I had written it a couple of years ago, and it's based on some experiences that I had with my grandmother, who was blind. And actually, she had an accident while living here in Mamaroneck, where a nail polish bottle was sitting next to the stove, and it expanded, and the glass hit her in the eyes, and she became blind that way, right down on 416 Center Street here in Mamaroneck. My mom, Dorothy Jordan, who's probably one of the, strongest individuals I've ever met. You know, she worked. We watched her, you know, go back to school at night and to re-educate herself. Yeah, and you know, we're originally from North Carolina, and we watched this, and you know, so when she was there studying, you know, we would be there studying, and when she was, you know, away at work, my grandmother would be there making sure we were getting our schoolwork done. You know, so when I wrote the book, it was about a time that I had with my grandmother, and you know, our principal was retiring, and they had asked all the kids from 3rd grade on up to 6th grade to write something in reference to Mr. Warren, and you know, I was in Ms. Donegan's class, and I wrote it, and my grandmother helped me, and I won.
Well, that's great. And like we talked about before, history is very important, and family history is the most important. You know, I was brought up, drilled into me, the most important thing you have is your family. And then after family, it goes to your extended family, and then of course your community.
Yes.
So I would just like to congratulate you, because it's exactly what you're doing. As long as I've known you and been friends for decades,
yes,
you've been involved with the community from when I first got involved in the village, that you had the programs for the kids down in the pavilion and so on.
Yes.
And it's great. It's part of the friendly village.
Yes,
it's just what it is. It's not just going to work. It's part of our quality of life. So I thank you very much. And again, I want to repeat, how does someone get a hold of you to get involved, whether they want to be a coach, especially do they want to be a sponsor, and so on. So they can contact yourself, or
yes,
how they do in the
they
village.
can reach me directly. I know that they're going to put my number up on the TV screen. I hope so. Yeah.
Well, we can get it up there later, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And yeah, please contact me directly.
Good, great. I look forward to being there. I look forward to the games. I also look forward to the luau, which would be
yes,
good.
and at the luau, and I'm going to hold him accountable. We usually do the electric slide at the luau, so I want to make sure.
I can do that. I like the electric slide.
I can get him on film doing the electric slide.
You had me from the last time doing it.
Absolutely.
Huh? Okay, that's good. It's the same as the block parties in Mamaroneck. I'm the first one out dancing.
Yes, you are.
So having a good time.
I'm proud of you.
A good time in a friendly village. Sometimes you get old, sometimes you don't know better. So, but as long as you're smiling and having a good time.
We'll know the next day.
Right. All right. It's a pleasure, Howard, as
Norman,
always.
thank you
Good.
so much. Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.